happy to welcome now Arizona head coach Tommy Lloyd and student athletes Kerr, Kriisa and Ąžuolas Tubelis. And coach, please lead us off with a couple opening remarks and then we'll go to questions.
Yeah, well, great to be here. I'm sorry I forgot my headband, guys, but just make sure Kerr's got his so we're covered. No, it's great to be here again. We're excited to start a new journey. Obviously, we got a great group of guys, and these two have done a great job. This preseason, getting this team ready to roll. So we're excited to see what the season brings.
We're going to start with Myron on the right.
Tommy, as one of the leaders, in this league, how have you processed all the talk about UCLA and USC moving to the Big Ten and just sort of the unknowns with the future?
Well, obviously, we're disappointed because, I love competing against those schools. But, again, they got to make the decisions that they think is best for their athletic program. So I'm going to respect that. And, I really believe and I feel strongly that the brand of Arizona basketball is strong enough to stand on its own. And so, I'm just going to focus on doing the best job at Arizona. And, obviously, we want to have, we want to do everything we can to compete for conference championships and, compete for national championships. I mean, that's still my focus. So I wish those guys the best of luck. Hopefully I'll be able to compete with them, obviously the next couple of years and then beyond. I would love to continue to play those schools.
Shereen, front right.
Shereen Ryan, inthefrontrow.com. How fun was it at the Red and Blue game, having all the alumni back at McHale, Richard Jefferson in the Zona Zoo, Raleigh and Jason Terry, judging the dunk contest? And is there anything that we missed that wasn't on camera that was fun that happened that night? All of you. Questions for all of you. I have one follow-up.
I'm going to let these guys respond to that.
Yeah, it was fun, obviously, and they were like RJ and all these guys. They had hell of a careers, and just to see them that they care and they come back to see us play in red blue and like you said, like grade our dunks and stuff like that. It matters, and it was a fun night for sure.
Zoo.
Hello. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was fun, and I had a chance to talk to Jason Terry after the game, because he was an assistant coach here for 1 year. So yeah, we talked about how is his team doing, because now he's assistant coach in NBA, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, we just talked, and yeah, that was fun.
And I think it's special to get, I think it was one of Lowry's first times back. And
I forgot Lowry.
Yeah, and obviously DeAndre coming down was great. I mean, those guys, did a lot for the university and are tremendous ambassadors for our program.
I have one more question. Coach, that was one of the most competitive red and blue games I've ever watched. It was everybody put everything on the court. So was that one of the goals of the game? Because usually it's a fun game and it's competitive, but it was an exciting game.
Well, I like to tell our guys they need to have fun, enjoy the moment, because it's definitely a community event. Anytime you get 15,000 people to come to a scrimmage, it's pretty cool. But, for us, for me, it's great to have our guys play live in front of people for the first time and kind of get, that out of their system. And so I told our guys I want them to compete. Whenever we take the court, we want to play hard. We want to play smart. And so we just use that as another teaching tool. And, we take it and we'll break down the film like we would from any other game and try to learn from it.
Bruce, front left.
Tommy, just following up what you said before about UCLA, I know it's down the road, but fans typically get more excited about Arizona UCLA than almost any conference game. Have you heard from fans about that, and have there been any discussions that you might keep playing them?
Well, not to this point. Everything's so new, and there's so many moving parts, and I'm just giving you my personal opinion, and so, I haven't run that through the channels or even talked to UCLA about it, but, I'm sure in the near future we'll sit down and have to have those conversations, and hopefully we can figure something out.
Go to Coach Carlesimo in the back right.
PJ Carlesimo, Pac-12 Network. One for Kerr. Go back. I don't know. It was a good time, but how difficult was it for you last year at the end, wondering whether you were going to play, how much you could play, what you were able to do or maybe not be able to do? Just looking back at it now, how tough was that for you?
I would say now it's like, there's nothing else to do now. But at the time, of course, it was tough because, you're preparing your whole season in order to play for March Madness, and then you get there, and then week before you get injured. So obviously it was frustrating, but we had a great medical staff, regular staff. Everybody just said stick with it. I did like 24/7 rehab, tried to get as best shape as possible with my ankle, and obviously it wasn't easy, but I got through it, and looking back, it was still a great experience, but I wish it would have gone a little bit differently.
And I'll add to that, PJ, I'll give Kerr a ton of credit. I mean, he and I never really talked about it, but he had a real injury, and for him to give himself up and try to come back and play for our team at the end, says a lot about him. And so I was really proud of how he approached it, but I was also proud of our guys. I don't know how many teams could lose their point guard, and win 4 postseason games. And so I thought it was, it said a lot about the other guys in the program. And the program said a lot about Kerr, how he attacked that and tried to come back for his teammates.
T, I want to talk about your current employer, but you could make the case that you know as much about continuity in a program as almost anybody in the country. When you look at Arizona going forward, with how much the college basketball picture has changed, how challenging will it be to have the kind of continuity you want to make it, to continue it to be a program?
Well, you're right. I mean, so many things have changed, and there's so many more moving parts now than maybe there was 10, 15 years ago. But PJ, I think it comes down to one thing. I think it comes down to treating people right. I think if you treat people right, you treat players right, I think you have a better chance of them wanting to stay around. And that being said, I'm also really excited for our guys that did leave and the opportunities that they've created for themselves. So, we're just going to attack it on a day-to-day basis and just try to make good, simple decision after good, simple decision and treat people right. And I think that's going to be the foundation of our continuity.
We'll go right to Eldridge.
Hi, Eldridge Kaza, Pac-12 Network. Coach Lloyd, I think I asked you this question last year, but you had just got there, so I'm going to ask you again this year because I'm just curious for my own curiosity. Gonzaga, one of the top programs in the country and probably the top program on the West Coast, and I think Arizona has been one of the best programs. Like I said, I've been in the Pac-12 for 37 years, and outside of the John Wooden era at UCLA, I think Arizona's been the best. What's been the difference as far as recruiting, and is it as hard of a sell to get a guy to come to Tucson as I would assume it was for some of the top-rated players in the country to come to Spokane?
Well, hey, first off, recruiting's tough. I don't think no matter where you're at, and to me, more important than trying to talk kids into coming to Arizona, it's just about, what I always try to do is figure out how we're going to build the best team for the upcoming season, and then have a few pieces we can develop for the future. So, I try not to put too much stock in or pressure on our staff that we have to go out and, recruit 5 McDonald's All-Americans, because I don't know if that always translates into winning and consistency. Now listen, yeah, you need good players. I mean, they're bar none, that's 100%. And, Eldridge, I would just say I'm still in the learning process of that too, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I can't tell you exactly what the differences are, or what it's going to look like a few years from now, but we're going to try to be genuine. We're going to try to overpromise and underdeliver when we recruit kids. I think it's really important, when you recruit somebody that, you're doing it with that in mind, of that kid being successful at your school, not just, hey, we'll see how this kid does, and if it doesn't work after a year, we'll get rid of him. And so I'm trying to be really methodical and make sure that, that we deliver on the things we talk about when we recruit a kid. So I'm probably being a little cautious, to be honest with you, and slowly, building how we're going to recruit at Arizona, because, I want to make sure we're being mindful and we're doing it the right way.
I got you. And my other question is for Kriisa. You probably answered this question before, but I haven't seen the answer. So I'm just curious, because I played against the guy with the last name of Kerr that wore number 25. I'm trying to figure out how you're wearing it. And maybe Coach Lloyd can answer. Is that number not retired at Arizona?
No.
No? Okay, so how did you
No,
know?
no.
yet.
No, yeah, I mean, what was the question? Is it retired?
How did you come about wearing number 25? That was Steve Kerr's number.
I mean, I gotta give tons of credit to Steve here too, because I'm pretty sure our Emoy was negotiating with him, and I'm pretty sure they asked him before if it's okay that I can wear that number.
Okay, I got you.
You probably
Thank
got to explain what Emoy is.
Oh, sorry, Brian Brigger, our equipment manager.
Okay, thank you.
Go to John here on the left.
John Gold, Saturday Out West. Coach, you get a new job, head coaching gig. You want to put in some foundational pieces, maybe win a few games, and then you go in and win 33 and go 18-2 in conference. Was last year the success you had even beyond maybe what you anticipated coming into the year? And did you approach it like a quote-unquote rebuild, or did you just hit the ground running with that?
Well, no, I mean, listen, none of these guys had played in the NCAA tournament. And so I wanted to make sure we were doing that. That was honestly my first objective, was we're going to get to the tournament. And then other than that, I didn't set any limitations. I mean, let's see how good we can get. And these guys did an unbelievable job last year of just getting better week by week. And when we lost, we learned from it. And so it was a joy. I mean, all these seasons are journeys, and they kind of unfold, and they become their own story. So, that's what makes it fun. But I wasn't trying to script what we were doing last year. I mean, I was just trying to give these guys everything I got, and then I was just trying to kind of follow their lead, and they did an amazing job.
Kind of a follow-up to that, were there any foundational pieces that you were looking to set just from the beginning last year that you look back now and say, like, I'm glad we got that taken care of, philosophical practice, anything like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, we wanted to establish a style of play. And, we wanted to implement a system with great pace, great player movement, great ball movement. On defense, we want to be tenacious. We want to really pressure the basketball. And, and I really wanted to hammer home, I mean, more than anything, the effort and energy that we're going to play with every single day.
Okay, we got a couple more. We'll go to Rocco first.
Hey, Coach. Rocco Miller, Bracketeer.org. I can't stop thinking about the fact that you had to face both TCU and Houston in the tournament last year, and I can't think of two more unbelievably physical teams. Obviously, one of them you survived, one of them you didn't. But, there's probably a moment or a matchup like that coming again this year if everything goes according to plan. What can you take away from that experience and with a lot of the guys back from last year to be ready for that moment this year?
Well, you're right. I mean, TCU and Houston are two really good programs, incredibly physical, very, very well coached. And, I thought we were a really physical team as well. So for me, like that's the number one standard. You have to can you check that box? Can you go play in physical high level games? Are you a team that can go toe to toe? And so I really want to see if we can continue to build that at Arizona. I think we have some guys now, in our program that do have shown that toughness. I think we have maybe some other guys in our program that might not be, quote unquote, you wouldn't say they're a tough guy, but I think we need to establish that identity, and we're going to continue to grow because there's nothing worse than getting in a game and in a tournament or whatever and just being physically outmatched and not being able to win that game. And so we want to make sure we're doing everything we can in those physical matchups to come out on top.
We're going to go to Cindy and then Ernie.
Cindy Brunson, Pac-12 Networks. Hey, fellas. Congratulations on last year's success. I know you're starting over this year, and the goal is the national championship. After watching the red and blue game, Zoo, I was really impressed with your bounciness. You look leaner this year. And Kerr, your ball handling clearly has been something that you worked on over the summer. So to the two of you, what phase of your game improved the most over the summer?
I think my defense improved the most, and my shooting from three-point line. Yeah, and that's basically it. I don't know. I didn't work on my bounce, so I don't know. Maybe, I don't know.
You don't look as bulky as you did last
year. Yeah. Everyone says that. Yeah, I look skinny, but I don't know. I'm not that skinny. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you. Finally, somebody notices because coach doesn't, say that good job. Wow. So finally, getting a lot of some credit. But I mean, we had a great summer with the coaching staff and Coach Tommy, and they put in the work, and then I had a great national team summer after. So yeah.
Ernie?
Ernie Kent, Pac-12 Network. Both of you have played a lot of international basketball. What's the difference that you see, if there any difference at all, between playing international basketball versus playing against players in this conference, or even playing against players in other conferences in the States?
Yeah, I think in Europe it's, I mean, here in States you have very athletic guys playing, and like now we're playing with like our age guys, and in Europe, me and Kerr played with men, you know, so physicality is different, but here in States, that pace is faster, and I really like it here. There was one of the reasons because I came here, it was because I wanted to play fast and run and dunk the ball, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, as a point guard, like playing pick and rolls in States, there's a lot of gap defense, so you got like first line of help and stuff. But I feel like in Europe, you don't have really first gap of defense, so I feel like it's a little bit easier in Europe to read the pick and roll stuff. But like Zoo said, yeah, I mean, the athletes are crazy. Like back home, you might play against some guy, you know, who's like 35, but like he doesn't even look like a basketball player, you know. Here you got like straight up dogs coming at you, so it's like it's a little bit different, but it's finally, you know, getting more used to it, and I mean, I like it here, yeah.
We got time for one more. We'll come back to John.
John Gold's Saturday Out West. This is for the players. Arizona has a pretty rich tradition, especially recently, of international basketball recruiting and really getting talented guys and integrating them well. Can you talk about how Arizona integrated you guys into the program? And you know, I have a follow-up for you, Tommy, about just that success that you had at Gonzaga translating now at Arizona and recruiting on the international trail.
With me, it was like a funny story because Coach Jack Murphy came to Lithuania to watch Kerr play, and I played against him. And he said, "Oh, I want this guy too." So I don't know, I got offered like a scholarship, so why not, you know?
He lost that game, by the way.
I lost it, yeah, but I was good though. So.
What does incorporate mean?
Just how did you come to get introduced to U of A basketball, and how did you find success there?
I mean, yeah, I feel like coming from Europe, taking a college step is kind of a risk because you got to be in a perfect situation in order to succeed. And I mean, for me, it's hard to say also because we had like staff change and coaches change. So you know, I'm really thankful and grateful for both of the coaches that I had. But right now, I'm really happy. I'm happy for the style. I like my staff. The players who we bring in, it's a lot of international, which makes like our locker room way more fun, and I feel like it's just like pretty good right now. Yeah.
I mean, for me, I mean, obviously, I'm comfortable, coaching international basketball players, and hopefully, if I continue to coach for a long time, it'll continue to be, an important part of any program I'm associated with. And for one, and Kerr's right, we love having a really diverse group of people in our locker room. I think it makes it a lot of fun, just the little differences, the little nuances that come up, the language things. We have a ton of fun with guys, and like we're having a lot of fun with Philip right now from Serbia, and he's a great kid, and he does it all smiling, and so no, I think it's just a ton of fun. And listen, I love the way these guys, they think the game and they play, and I think it's right in line with how I like to coach. And listen, if you're watching these NBA games, I mean, a lot of these are the same concepts that they're playing with in the NBA. You know, I mean, you watch how those guys are able to move the ball now in the NBA. I mean, I know there's some great isolation players in the NBA, but there's a lot of players that really know how to play basketball and move the ball well, and they're playing some great concepts. So, to me, I think we can do our own little version of that in college, and I think it's pretty cool.